Trump wants to cut taxes for the super rich. Well, we're not going there, my friends. I'm telling you right now, we're going to write fairer rules for the middle class, and we are going to raise taxes on the middle class. Trump wants to cut taxes for the super rich. Well, we're not going there, my friends. I'm telling you right now, we're going to write fairer rules for the middle class, and we are going to raise taxes on the middle class.
The purpose of the SIP is to, quote, provide accurate and comprehensive information about the income and program participation that has constantly been screamed down, that you constantly be called xenophobic, racist, Nazi, whatever. Well, it turns out that intuition, that instinct that you had, yeah, it's correct.
When do we beat Mexico at the border? They're laughing at us, at our stupidity. And now they're beating us economically. They are not our friend.
Black people and white people can't be unified for Trump? That's bullcrap. Trump refuses to denounce the KKK.
How do you feel about the recent endorsement from David Duke?
I didn't even know he endorsed me. David Duke endorsed me? Okay. All right. I disavow. Okay? Yes. All right. Yes.
In the absence of the truth, bullcrap prevails. So here come the truth, jokers. Look at what's been going on. All the people are coming out, the dang Walking Dead. You know, the people who don't pay attention to politics until the election cycle comes around. And they get so emotional. They get all into it, and, you know, they pick their sides and they fight against each other, but in reality, they ain't getting nowhere with it. So you're falling for the little racist angle. You're fighting each other. You're ripping up the signs. And, oh yeah, let me go to this. This is something here. How is it that this little fake joker right here comes out and endorses Donald Trump? Now, elections are all about perception. So when you see this guy endorsing Donald Trump, you will say, oh, well, Donald Trump is a racist because he's endorsing Donald Trump. But here's the thing. What is KKK? Well, the KKK was created by the Democrats. KKK still belongs to the Democrats. So this guy right here knows that if he comes out and throws his support behind Donald Trump, it's going to get the reaction of this. That's the only reason why he's coming out and doing that. Lyndon B. Johnson did the same thing in the 1964 election. He made an ad saying that Barry Goldwater was endorsed by the KKK. But how is he going to say that when the KKK is a democratic entity? They are the prop, and I'm talking about the KKK. The Democrats are the most racist party in history, the only party in American history to kill black people because they wanted them to vote Democrat. Lyndon B. Johnson said, I'll have those N-words voting Democrat for the next 200 years. When he was talking about N-words, he was talking about black people. And black people, they still vote Democrat.
Neither have I. You don't know me. You're fucking a white male. So?
Today, our country has lost a true American original, my friend and mentor, Robert C. Byrd. Senator Byrd was a man of surpassing eloquence and nobility.
There are white. I've seen a lot of white in my time.
I admired his tireless advocacy for his West Virginia constituents, his fierce defense of the Constitution and the traditions of the Senate, and his passion for a government that improves the lives of the people it serves.
There are white. I've seen a lot of white in my time.
They mentioned that he once had a fleeting association with a Ku Klux Klan. And what does that mean? I'll tell you what it means. He was a country boy from the hills and hollows of West Virginia. He was trying to get elected.
As Secretary of State, I continued to rely on his advice and counsel. Robert C. Byrd led by the power of his example, and he made all of us who had the honor of serving as his colleagues better public servants and better citizens. Robert C. Byrd left such a legacy.
We have given her $20,000 anonymously for her campaign fund. She is friends with the Klan. The KKK endorses Hillary Clinton. About illegal immigrants. She doesn't. She's acting like she does so she can get into office. She's a Democrat. The Klan has always been a democratic organization.
People in the streets. Does Hitler not remind you of that? Does Trump not remind you of that? No, explain to me how Trump is like Hitler. Mass deportation.
There isn't any sensible approach except to do what we need to do simultaneously. Secure our borders with technology, personnel, physical barriers if necessary in some places, and we need to have tougher employer sanctions, and we need to try to incentivize Mexico to do more. If they've committed transgressions of whatever kind, they should be obviously deported.
Sessions went on to explain that Obama's immigration policy is killing wages, particularly for immigrants and minority groups, because the flow of labor is so large, it floods the labor market and depresses wages. Of the Daily Caller, Donald Trump is going to do better with Hispanics and African Americans because he's talking about things that will really make their wages go up.
I do not support gay marriage.
I live in New York. New York is a place with lots of gays, and I think it's great.
I'd be shorter if we mass abortion. So obeying the law. Donald Trump wants to obey the laws on immigration. Donald Trump wants to obey.
And basically fuck with the one person who stands in the way of us being ruled by Donald Trump.
Just before I came in here, we thought we'd do a little search on our files, and I do notice that a William Mayer gave a Clinton-affiliated entity $1 million. Now it's a William Mayer in LA, where that at the time the money came. Perhaps you would like to comment. Is that you?
Yeah, I don't think.
For the KKK, Hillary Clinton is our choice.
Donald Trump won the Republican nomination. Europe is committing demographic suicide, and the city of London is likely to elect their first Muslim mayor who just so happens to have ties to Islamic extremism.
Mr. Speaker, it's 2015.
Current year.
But I want to talk with you about something special today. Have you ever looked into the eyes of an SJW and seen an incredible lack of awareness? A sort of emptiness? Like you're staring into the abyss. A deep, endless abyss. Frightening you beyond all belief. Making you question your own existence and the existence of life and reality. There is no God. There is no God. So I have a hypothesis. I think they're experiencing something similar to epistemological joy. You know, the mass hysteria in trance-like state that evangelical Christians can put themselves into.
I'm not gay no more. I am delivered. I don't like men no more. I said I like women.
In Jonathan Haidt's book, The Righteous Mind, he gives a hypothesis for why people will believe in crazy or seemingly ridiculous things. One of them is the ventral striatum. Drew Weston performed an experiment in 2004 doing MRA scans on people while giving them evidence that either confirms or questions their political allegiance. And when their political beliefs were confirmed, the ventral striatum was the part of the brain that was stimulated. This is the same part of the brain that's stimulated by heroin and cocaine. To quote Haidt's book, rats who can press a button to deliver electrical stimulation to their reward centers will continue pressing until they collapse from starvation. Like rats that cannot stop pressing a button, partisans may be simply unable to stop believing weird things. The partisan brain has been reinforced so many times for performing mental contortions that free it from unwanted beliefs. Extreme partisanship may literally be addictive. Social justice and feminism use a number of rhetorical devices so loosely defined that you can never actually define them in any real scientific, measurable way. Terms like privilege, marginalization, identities are so ambiguous that an SJW can use these rhetorical devices to explain everything and anything. Everything they experience can be understood under these ambiguous terms. Their ideology is literally built around reinforcing their own confirmation bias by performing rhetorical mental contortions. Let me just give you an example.
Even if you are raised by open-minded people, you will still be psychologically affected by living in a society built on imperialism, which, by the way, created cisnormativity and heteronormativity.
Citation needed. Citation needed.
Holy fuck, this statement is wrong. The reason why cisnormativity and heteronormativity exist is because being cisgendered and being heterosexual is normal. But let's just dissect what he's trying to say for a moment. He's proposing that imperialism created the idea of cisnormativity and heteronormativity by psychologically affecting everyone. He's saying that society is brainwashing you into thinking that being straight is normal. Now, let's step away from how fucking stupid this is and just think. If you look at this as a scientific hypothesis, how would you disprove it? How would you prove that people aren't being subconsciously brainwashed by society? Well, the only way to do this conclusively is to literally read our minds for 24 hours a day, every day after we're born, and see if we're being brainwashed. In other words, it's impossible. This is a theory that cannot be proven wrong. Now let's just take another example.
And what I mean by that are the ideas that are bound up in the notion of American exceptionalism and the concept of the American dream, and how both of these together work to promote, really, the mistaken belief that the United States is a land of unfettered social mobility and opportunity. And I think it's important to know that this is not, or to understand that this is not a benign ideology, but that it works actively to explain away inequality in this country as a function of personal deficit or as an individual problem having nothing to do with the system itself.
The idea of American exceptionalism works to promote the belief that I am not oppressed. This is not benign. I'm glad that Kianga Yamada has decided to throw off the shackles of heteronormative beauty standards, or any beauty standards for that matter, but frankly, I expected a better argument from a fucking associate professor at Princeton than a fucking Kafka trap. Her argument is just a rhetorical device which says that people who disagree with me are evil. But let's just see what reality has to say about this subject. There have been a number of articles written about how the United States apparently has less economic mobility than European countries, but this is a really fucking stupid way of measuring your economy. For example, a Danish family can move from the 10th percentile to the 90th percentile with $45,000 of additional earnings, while an American family would need an additional $93,000. So as you can see, judging American mobility against Europe is judging apples and oranges. But one thing we do know is that the median income for the average American is higher than most other developed nations, except for Switzerland, Norway, and Luxembourg. In fact, If you are poor in the United States, you're nearly at the same level as the median income for Israel, Japan, the United Kingdom, Spain, Portugal, Korea, and Ireland.
Father, cat is hungry. We will buy another cat.
Now let's just take a step back from this again and ask the question, how would I convince Kianga that she is wrong? She is literally saying, if you disagree with me, you are providing me with more evidence that I am being oppressed. So the answer is I can't. The moment I try to prove that she is wrong, I am giving her more evidence that she is correct. By using this rhetorical device, disagreeing points of view are now used as evidence to fuel her confirmation bias.
To be colorblind as a response to race and racism, you have got to boil down racism to decisions based on the basis of race. And you have to have a definition of race, which is largely a static definition of race, right? Usually it's framed as skin color, as opposed to other ways one might think about race. One might think about race as the historicized vessels of racialized power. One might think of race as relational as opposed to simply skin color. So to boil down colorblindness into ignoring race, you have to have something static to ignore, right? It's somewhat like, don't think about elephants. You have to know what elephants are in order not to think about them.
This charming little darling is Kimberly Crenshaw, the feminist who first coined the term intersectionality. And oh boy, there is a lot of shit to go through in just this small statement. She is saying that racism isn't based on racist actions. Racism is based on historicized vessels of racialized power, and being colorblind ignores these vessels. What the fuck is a historicized vessel of racialized power? Can you quantify this term in any scientifically measurable way? This phrase is so fucking ambiguous that it can literally mean anything. While Kimberly is obsessing over how colorblindness ignores true racism, ironically enough, she is ignoring the fact that Asian Americans are doing better than white Americans, and that one of the most influential aspects of African American poverty is the fact that over 70% of black children are born to unwed mothers. There are three things common to these statements. These statements project an invisible, unmeasurable motive upon all of society. They use terminology that is so ambiguous that it can be anything, and it uses rhetoric that instantly gratifies their sense of being oppressed, and of course gets that dopamine high at being able to confirm their bias. Milo tells us that society maliciously invented heteronormativity through the ambiguous phrase psychological affection and has a feeling of being oppressed. Kianga tells us that society maliciously invented the idea of American exceptionalism, that this idea is not benign, an ambiguous phrase, and that she is being oppressed. Kimberly tells us that society maliciously invented the idea of colorblindness, that it ignores historicized vessels of racialized power, an incredibly ambiguous phrase, and that she's being oppressed. And every single one of them is getting a dopamine high at being able to confirm their bias. Social justice ideology is so broadly defined and ambiguous that it can literally be used to describe all of reality as oppressive. SJWs are literally addicted to being oppressed by reality.
It is our duty to fight. It is our duty to fight. It is our duty to win. It is our duty to win. We have nothing to lose but our chains. We have nothing to lose but our chains. It is our duty to fight. It is our duty to fight. It is our duty to win. It is our duty to win. We have nothing to lose but our chains. We have nothing to lose but our chains. It is our duty to fight. It is our duty to fight. It is our duty to win. It is our duty to win.
Excuse me, are y'all with the cult?
We're not a cult. We're an organization that promotes love and...
Yeah, this is it.
If you enjoy the content I make, consider making a donation via Patreon. If you like the artwork in my videos, visit the artist's various websites, links in the description.
Doesn't it feel like every time you want to have a sensible discussion about facts and reality and trends within society, particularly when it overlaps with any kind of politics, don't you feel like any time you want to have a sensible discussion, all of these hysterical brain parasite...
Have you heard him just say, like, what are the problems in America? Hillary can make a case because she'll say something that's actually political. This guy don't even see nothing. Tell me the issues in America. What are the issues in America? First off, people like me are dying. The bank's running everything. Anybody else want to get in on this? I know Donald Trump wants to bring jobs back to America. You say jobs are an issue. Donald Trump says he wants to bring them back. I didn't say nothing about a job. How? He quit sending jobs to China. We have companies going to Mexico. What are you talking about? Are you even listening? I said people like me are dying. American companies. You want to know why everything you pick up says made in China? That's because other companies devalue their currency, and so companies can make a greater profit overseas. Donald Trump wants to bring it back. Donald Trump's a capitalist. This is America. Capitalism. Capitalism cannot exist without exploitation. Didn't think so. Didn't think so. Let's bring it back to black people being killed by police. Okay. What has Trump said about that? What about white people being killed by police? Fuck off! That's not racist, though.
The junior senator from Alabama went on to predict that Trump can turn the economy around for those on the lowest rung of the economic ladder very quickly.